I'm sitting here thinking about all the different spots to train at because I do remember vividly. Do you go to the PA meetings?
Dude, I went to some of them during the COVID stuff, and I just had to get out, man. I was like, you guys are
The
asking the most absurd,
When you
like,
say the COVID stuff, is this when they're zooming the PA
yeah.
meetings? Okay, yeah, that's you never went to the in-person ones.
No, I was supposed to this past year, or like this year. I'm getting texts still, like with two Cincinnati guys. I'm like, hey, boys, I'm not in this anymore. Like, I'm gonna have to remove myself. So I haven't been to any of the in
Or are you
person
like an
ones.
alter? Were you like an alternate?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, I got a question from someone who's not in the NFL, because I feel like a lot of our listeners, when you hear about the NFLPA, the only general consensus from players is that you hate them. Can y'all like go into more depth of why the NFLPA is like maybe poorly run, or just give us more insight to people who don't get to understand what the PA really is doing and stuff like that?
I think it's hard too because number one, even with that question, you already put us on the other side of the fence from our own union. The NFLPA, the NFL Players Association, is our union, and guys have a lot of mixed reviews on the PA on how it's ran. Guys always have a million questions when you go to the meetings. It's when I hear guys complain about it or get upset about it. There's like things that obviously none of us know everything about it, but you sit there and hear stuff on them being involved with the NFL a little bit more than they probably should be. Or they could be working side stuff, or we build up this war chest and we never are really going to do anything with it. If we're just going to cower up and sign the dotted line right before a new CBA happens, which in my opinion is what we did this past CBA,
Yeah.
is we all signed. Half the guys were signed before we even got to the NFLPA meetings, and so there's just always this like there's a lot of mixed reviews about it. Like if we had Dennis Kelly on here, Dennis Kelly is somebody who I look to, who I always try and hit up because he's somebody who plays that side of like you got to understand it from this point of view. Because some guys will be really emotional about it and they just fucking hate it. But there's a lot of guys who don't go to the meetings or they don't show up to stuff. So by the time guys are showing up at these meetings, when they have them, these destination places, or when you have them on Zoom, I mean that one does suck. But when you go and meet and we're all in the big room and having our getaway every year, that 3-day trip, guys are arguing over so much stuff you can't get anything done. It's like you sit there because we're going back and forth. We're trying to get stuff done with like 32 NFL owners. You're talking about you're talking about people who are the elite of the elite. There's 32 of them sitting in a room. They understand negotiating way more than any of us ever fucking will because they've been doing business their entire life.
Yeah.
They're not like, some of them could be, people can argue like trust fund or legacy children or whatever the case may be, but it takes a lot of work to be a billionaire and you're all sitting in a room and there's 32 of you. And with us, the NFLPA, you get 2,000, 1,500 guys. Now, all of us aren't there at the meeting, but you get all of us in there and we're just charged up athletes trying to argue and we think we know what we need to be doing. But guys are just sitting there fucking arguing all the time. And it's like, yo, this is not happening in the owner's room. We know that. And everybody argues over stuff. And some of it's petty enough to where it's like, we try and get stuff taken care of in the season where they come in and visit us and have our meetings. And what I think about that is like, we have to pay attention in those small meetings because when we have them in season, they're usually after practice. They're later in the year where it's dark out already.
Yeah.
You're already in the grind of a season. So somebody from the NFLPA is standing up there. We're either making fun of him or you're trying to joke about the coaches, doing too much in practice or we're having,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking
no,
about.
100%.
And you vote on your reps, your alternates and this, that, the other. And we don't take care of the small stuff that we try and we end up arguing about when we're at these big meetings. And that's kind of that's kind of like my thoughts on it when I sit back, because I've been an alternate a few times. Like I've been in the little meeting rooms and I argued one time about practice squad guys getting accredited season. And they ended up getting that done because Lorenzo Alexander he was a P squad guy for like 2 or 3 years, and ended up helping pioneer like getting something done. But you can get stuff done, but to me guys aren't locked in like they should be, and they would rather judge and have big opinions versus taking the time to think about actual situations.
Yeah, and guys some guys just like hearing themselves talk. Like it's dude.
Some dudes be on there thinking they're spitting game, like really saying
they're like,
something.
hey, let me spit something to you. Let me educate you. It's like, no, you're not educating anybody.
Yeah.
You're just saying the same thing over and over again for 10 minutes. And then they're giving you an answer saying like, hey, like we'll come back to you on it. And you're like, okay, but and you're trying to word it in a way that's like, well, you just said that. You're just trying to sound a little smarter, but you're sounding dumber because you're saying the same thing and you're not using bigger words
Dudes
correctly.
will be on the phone. Some dudes will start laughing.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you gotta mute
it's
yourself.
insane. It's like, it honestly is insane. And those same guys, like you just said, like they're not in every meeting. So they'll miss a couple meetings and be like, they'll hop on however many meetings later and just be like, okay, so what about this? And just go into a rant like, hey, like, then you got people talking over each other. It's like, hey, we discussed this. It's this, this, and this, but he doesn't want to hear it because he wasn't a part of that meeting. And so now he's just like, all right, I have the floor. I started talking. I'm gonna keep talking. It's like, dude, just shut up. Just shut the hell up. Like,
and then there's not like full attendance with the reps or the representation, the guys who get voted on.
Yeah.
And some guys will complain you need the money guys to show up. Like, yeah, that's a valid argument, but like it's way more. It's like we don't spend enough time trying to get the actual stuff done. And I think on the flip side, as a player, you sit back and you see some of the stuff that does get done or the way it's handled. And sometimes like I know for me, it's like, I would feel like you want killers going up against these, going up against the NFL.
Yeah.
Sometimes like guys feel like we concede a little too early, too much, which I would agree with in certain situations or certain areas. I'm doing my best to toe the line with all this stuff because obviously I'm pro for the boys. Like I want stuff to get done for the players, for the NFLPA. So I am for the NFLPA. So I try and hesitate like talking shit, so to speak, because I want us to be better. So in my mindset, it's like, instead of bitching about it, like let's figure out a way to like be together on something or show up. Or you who are sitting here bitching about the whole time, like be on a phone call or show up to a meeting so that way you understand like what you're digesting and spitting out in the first place.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm with you. It's like you just said, it's just bitching. It's a whole lot of bitching, and there's nothing constructive that comes out of it if you're just gonna yell or like talk or raise your voice, or if you don't get the answer you want, or like, yeah, like if you don't get the answer that you're looking for in your head too, then it's just all hell breaks loose. Then you freak out more.
And you spend too much time talking on certain topics to where you waste all your time.
Yeah, the dumbest stuff.
The dumbest shit, bro.
The rants are on the dumbest things. It's not on the things that are important too, which is why I'm just like, dude, I'm pissed off. Like I'll just mute myself and kind of just be like, all right, I'm gonna put my phone down. 20 minutes later, but he's still gonna be talking, or we're still gonna be talking about the same point because someone else is gonna jump on about something that has no effect on anything in the grand scheme of things. Like it just so minute. And then we get nothing done because then it's like, all right, we got an hour and a half conversation, 20 of it spent on this.
People have left the phone call
people
because
are just
like,
gone.
all right, what are we doing?
Exactly.
But if you're a player listening to this, I advise everybody to go to these meetings that we have every year, especially the ones you get the destination ones, like you +1 first class, like it's a little vacation.
For sure.
But don't just go for the vacation, show up to the meetings. I know a couple years that there was like an attendance problem because people would go get taken care of on like, hotel, first class, +1, and dudes wouldn't show up to the meeting where they'd start taking attendance. That's why attendance started to happen.
Yeah.